Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alicia. This is my sister
I'm Carissa. Welcome if you're new.
Yes! We are going to be doing a thriller book recommendation video today. I'm going to give my top 5 thriller recommendations and Chris is going to give hers. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get right into it. Okay, so my first thriller recommendation, and these aren't in any sort of order, they're just kind of 5 that I would definitely for sure recommend. My first one is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers, Crime Junkie. Is this your book?
Yeah.
No, I got my own.
I have that. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I bought this because I got this on Amazon. Yeah.
Right.
No, this is my book. Thank you. I'm not going to give too much away. I'm just going to say there's murder, suspects, you know, like old, I think it's old crime too, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read this, but yes, a cold case. I remember loving this book. Like, it's just one of those books where you'll stay up late reading it. Like, you want to know what happens. And it's not super big, so it's like super easy of a read. So I highly recommend if you just love a good like cold case crime thriller. Next, we have Sundial. I would say is more thriller than horror in my opinion, but it does lean kind of in the horror genre. Okay, so the mom in this book's name is Rob, which threw me off the entire book because I'm
it's
used
like
to Rob
being, or something?
I think so. I can't remember, but like I'm used to that being a guy's name. So just in my head, I'm like Rob, thinking that's a man, and it's not. It was a woman because like you're reading, so you don't see them. Mm-hmm. Rob is the mother though, and her daughter's name is Callie, which is my dog's name. So I thought that was cute. Throughout the book, you see Callie kind of become more of a psychopath. At least you think. Oh my gosh, it's like you're not. It's so hard to describe this book because the twists and turns you go through, it is so fun. Like, it's so fun. There's so many crazy revelations. This was a 5-star read for me. Like, I absolutely loved my time reading this book. It's so entertaining. It's so good. So I just want to recommend that if you need something that's like a little bit more out there, it's not like your typical like mystery thriller. It's definitely more genre bending, I guess I would say. I don't really know exactly what that means, but like, it's not just your...
I don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You'll
You'll read this and at the end of it, you're going to be like, gasp. It's one of those books. So I highly, highly recommend. I just don't want to give too much away. There's psychopathy. That's not what it's called. Psychopathy. Very cutesy.
Is it?
Oh,
cutesy?
But yeah. So, okay. So here, I'll say this. Okay. So Callie as the daughter, you go through different... So you'll sometimes read from the perspective of Rob, the mom, and then you'll get to see her past as well because they delve into the past. I like want you to go into it blind. I hate giving away too much.
Is it like unreliable narrator type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And then you also get to read from Callie's point of view, and her mom ends up taking her to the old family farm. And so in Callie's eyes, she's scared of her mom because she thinks her mom wants to like leave her there or kill her or something. But her mom, we're led to believe, is afraid of Callie because she's showing psychopathic behavior, which happens like really early on. It's not a spoiler. But so basically we're from both of their point of views. And we get to learn a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present. There's so much crazy stuff that happens in this book. It is so freaking good. Moving on. Okay, now I don't have the physical copies of these on me, but my next one that I want to recommend is Home Before Dark, Riley Sager. It is the book that got me back into reading thrillers. I absolutely love every book Riley Sager has written except for Survive the Night. Home Before Dark is basically a haunted house story. I just want to give you that. It's like a haunted house, but also crime. I would almost say it's Haunting of Hill House-esque, but different. It's really good. The vibes are there, the ambiance. It's so, so good. And the ending will just leave you gasping. My favorite thrillers are the ones where at the end I'm like, so love a Riley Sager book. Highly, highly recommend that one if you just want a good like haunted house, crime, vibey, Haunting of Hill House thriller. Okay, next up we have The Butterfly Garden. Hopefully I'm getting that name right. If not, I'll pop it on screen here. I'll pop it on screen here. She has my copy of it.
She just hasn't read it. 2+ years.
And I remember I got that book and I loved every minute of reading it. I could like see it in my head as a movie.
Smaller book too.
It's like it was honestly so good. Like it was just such a fun read. Okay, fun, maybe not the word, but like this guy steals women.
Entertaining.
Yeah, because I'm just like, well, this guy steals women and like makes them into butterflies. And I'm like, that's not like fun and cutesy.
Beautiful. Cutesy.
But you know what I mean? Like it was just one where
are cutesy.
Mm-hmm. Because I think it's been a while since I read it, but that will always be one of my top thrillers. And I guess horror. I would say it's a little bit horror too.
It kind of shows me that you're like, oh, maybe I do want more horror.
Because I feel like when I lean towards thrillers, I like when there's a little horror thrown in there. It is very good if you like serial killer, like if you like to look into serial killers, if you like true crime, anything with like missing girls, missing women, like if that's just stories you find interesting, you will really like The Butterfly Garden, because we do get to kind of see like how does this guy's mind work, and like why is he doing this, but also we get to see and hear from the girls and follow them, and like the newest one, and there are twists and turns and lots of stuff happens. It is so good.
That makes me think of the first season of True Detective. Have you seen True Detective?
No.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well.
What's it on?
HBO.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch True Detective.
First season of True Detective, phenomenal. Okay. Oh my god, like so good. Second season, really good, pretty good still. I did not watch it after that. It's anthology, so it's a totally different story each time.
Because I was gonna say Butterfly Garden, I would honestly just say if you enjoy Criminal Minds, you would enjoy The Butterfly Garden if you like reading and you like Criminal Minds.
First one's like a serial killer. They're trying to like figure out cold case.
Like,
okay. Yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
Gosh,
oh my
gosh.
Love it. Gonna put that on the TV tonight.
Literally.
Okay,
honestly, we can. Like,
yeah, we should.
I love
We've been watching Accused, and this is a thriller
and
recommendation.
This one is more, this is more hardcore too than Accused. Like, this is Butterfly Garden.
Okay, Butterfly Garden. And I did feel like when reading The Butterfly Garden, it didn't feel scary in that. You know how sometimes those books can kind of make it really scary. It almost, I don't know how to describe it, but like I didn't feel scared reading it. I felt more sad, but in a good way, of like you're really like feeling for these characters. It really brings them to life, of like it's not just about like why is this man doing what he's doing, but it's also about like these girls and how their lives were just taken from them by this man, you know, and how that affects them and their psychology. Anyways, moving on, we have Pen Pal, which is one of my new favorites from, I think I read it last year. Yeah, I think I read it last year. I gave it to Krista. I keep telling her to read it because it is one of my all-time favorite books now. And again, it's a little bit more of a horror thriller or thriller horror than it is like straight up thriller. But if you want a creepy, stalkery read that one. It is so good and you'll never know what's coming. The way it reads is just so creepy, and it almost reminds me of creepy stories or scary stories to tell in the dark-esque. But like way more for the adults.
Adulted up?
Like just a really good adult, like creepy, scary story. And I think one of the creepiest parts is that it really gives off the vibes of like, this could happen. I highly recommend Pen Pal if you love thriller and if you love thriller horror. There is a little bit of gore, but it's not like a focus. It's kind of like little bits thrown in. But most of all, in my opinion, it is a thriller. Like it is a ride. I finished it all like in one binge. It was so good. Okay, moving on. We have Rock, Paper, Scissors by I think Alice Feeney is who I'm picturing as the author. Hope that's right.
I read that.
You have?
I have an Alice Feeney on mine.
So I really like this one. It's not like one of my top in the whole world. Like it's really good and I would recommend, I wanted to throw this one in here because I wanted to recommend it on audiobook. If you need an audiobook thriller, I really enjoyed listening to it. Like it was really nice to kind of put it on and let it take and lead the way. It was really fun to listen to, so highly recommend that thriller. And then I have one more that's more of an honorable mention, as Carissa did in our fantasy recommendations. Go watch that. In a Dark, Dark Wood. Forget the author, but like I'll put the book up here somewhere and you'll see the author's name. This one is just a very like easy read thriller. It's your typical thriller. It's a typical thriller, but it's very fun to read, very entertaining. I enjoyed my entire time reading it. I feel like there are some thrillers that for me can get a little too like bogged down in the crime aspect, like the political system of like judges, the criminal justice system, and I just do not care for that. And In a Dark, Dark Wood doesn't have any of that. It's not really even a crime thriller. It honestly gave me Riley Sager vibes, so I think that's why I liked it a lot. But just reading it, I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. I thought it was such a good book. I want to read more by that author. Very, very good. So I highly recommend if you're looking for a thriller. It's like a bachelorette party. I don't want to give too much. I always want everyone to go into it blind because I'm like, especially with a thriller, like I want you to be surprised from the minute you start reading. Like I don't want you to know anything.
I like to know things. Like,
see, I don't. I'm like, no, tell me nothing. Yeah, so I highly recommend In a Dark, Dark Wood. Have you read it yet? I gave it to you.
No, I know
you have it. Yeah.
Maybe it's because you need to tell me a little bit more.
I know. I literally give her, every time I give her a book,
she gives me nothing.
I'm like, it's so good, read it. Right, and then she gives me a book or tells me to read a book, and I get an essay.
A summary. Of
an essay on what it's about. And I'm like,
generally.
Yeah. So funny. Okay, moving on. We'll go to Carissa. All right, Carissa, take it away.
All right. So I have my first one on my list. Again, no particular order. Just the first one I have listed is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. You probably know Gillian Flynn from Sharp Objects and Gone Girl. Dark Places is my favorite of her books. And it's really the book that I read it and I was like, I can read like adult thriller. Like this is actually good. Like I can read. Yeah. And in Dark Places, basically, there's this girl, her name's Libby Day. And when she was like 7, her family was massacred in their home. And she is like her brother survived and she survived. Don't think her dad survived. Some members of her family were massacred. And she basically gave testimony against her brother, saying that her brother was the one who killed everyone back when she was 7. So her brother's in jail and she's now an adult, and there's this Innocence Project that's basically going on that these people are convinced that her brother is innocent, and he has to this day said he's innocent. He's never shown his guilt or like said he's actually did the crime. He is who she saw that night kill her family. She gave testimony in court about it. This is what she believes this whole time. So she ends up going back to the family home, I believe, to visit her grandparents or so, and kind of like dig up information and just make sure like I know what I saw, I'm right, everything, all the evidence leads to it was my brother, because there's these people who are trying to get him like a retrial and prove his innocence and things like that. So you basically just follow her going through and uncovering like, were my memories right? Was I led to believe something, or did I see what I saw that night? There was a lot of people who were hiding things that night. Everyone kind of had a secret of the Day family for that night, or like leading up to that night. So it just kind of follows all that, and there is like a big revelation at the end. It's a very good book, and I don't want to give too much away. So
I have also read that book, and I would concur. Yeah, it's a very good book.
Mm-hmm. Second one is None of This Is True. That's Elisa Jewell. Also, she's like the queen of like thriller, a queen of thriller.
I was about to say, I have a different queen of thriller, so.
Ooh.
Well, you literally have her on your list. Frida McFadden is the queen of thriller.
Oh,
for me.
I disagree.
But I say that as a purely audiobook listener. I have never read one of her books. It's just been through audiobook, but I've listened to pretty much every single one. They are the best audio, like the way they're done is so good. I've never found a book I've enjoyed listening to more than hers.
Okay.
Every time, if I need to wash the dishes or do anything like if I'm cleaning the house the entire day, Frida McFadden. And if I can't find a new book of hers, I'm upset.
The next one is None of This Is True. And this, Lisa Jewell, one of the queens of thriller mystery. This follows a podcast host, and this podcast host has done different like seasons of stuff, and she's looking for her new season, like what her new season of her podcast is going to be about. She goes out to dinner for her birthday at a restaurant, and she runs into a woman who also is out for dinner for her birthday, and they end up meeting up in the bath, like seeing each other in the bathroom, and realize that they both have the same birthday, and they're actually born on the same day of the same year. Lines up. This sparks an idea for her in her head of like, what if I do a podcast about people who have the same birthdays and how then they lead different lives? So she then starts to interview this woman who has the same birthday as her to learn about her life and things like that. And slowly but surely, you kind of you start to realize that it may not have been more like a chance encounter with this woman. It may have been more of a planned encounter for reasons I will not reveal, but it gets it's a thriller. So you're like, okay, what's going on? What's really happening? But that's kind of the setup.
And I can concur. I listened to this one as well on audiobook.
And you should listen to it because
so good.
It's better listened to.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which helps you keep it straight.
Yes.
So good.
The next one is First Lie Wins. Can't remember the author. Put it up here.
It will be.
Yeah. And this one I thought was really good. It follows a woman who basically has like a black market job in which she works for I'll call it a spy agency.
Okay.
But it's more like corporate spy, where she would get information on someone that she needs to follow or get to know or learn information information about them somehow for some reason. So she figures out a way to get close to them, whether that's being their girlfriend, being their dog walker, whatever the situation calls for, to be able to get close to them, get the information she needs, and then bring it back to her bosses. And so she's currently on a mission. A girl shows up with name and identity that is her real name and identity. So someone in this town she's in doing her work assignment, comes in pretending to be her real identity. So like obviously she has a fake identity in this town. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on there, and then
that sounds
shenanigans
so interesting.
ensue.
I don't think I've listened to that one.
It's very good.
Okay.
It's very good. And then the next one also has lie in the name. It is Listen for the Lie.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
You recommended that one to me.
And Listen for the Lie. This one is it is also another one that has like a podcast involved. And
which any of them with podcasts involved, so fun to listen to.
Because they switch off between like
yeah.
the quote unquote podcast and then like the book story. There's this girl who her best friend basically went missing when they were like 16. Her best friend went missing. She was there when she went, oh no, she was killed or she just went missing.
I was like, wait, what?
So her best friend was murdered.
Her sister was a witch!
So her best friend, you follow this girl who, when they were like 16, she was with her best friend in the woods, and her best friend gets murdered, but she also got knocked on the head. So she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything. She doesn't remember what happened. She doesn't know if anyone was there, if she did something. No memory whatsoever. People like have a suspicion, there's rumors, you know, they can't prove anything, but they think she did it. Like in their minds, she killed her and got away with it because she pled like amnesia. I don't remember. So it doesn't matter, like incompetence or whatever it's called, like in court. And so she got off, right? Fast forward like, 10 years, 15 years, she's like 30 now. There is a podcast that comes to her town to where this happened, and they're doing a season on the case of like, did she actually do this? Or did like the cops look in the wrong direction and like the murderer is still out there? So basically she starts to work with the podcast host to try and figure out and resurface her memories, try and go back and like figure out, did I kill her or did something else happen? This book is called What Lies in the Woods. And when there's this group of girls, when they were young, they would play in the woods. One day they're playing in the woods and they find a decayed in like a cave dead body. And it didn't really process with them that like they were finding a dead body because it was skeletal remains. So they just like found, and they basically were like, this is a goddess. Like we are gonna start something called the Goddess Games. And so what they would do is basically they would just play with the skeleton. They wouldn't like play with the skeleton, but like the skeleton was the focus of the game. Goddess Games was like visiting the goddess and like doing things for her. Like one of the girls gets to be the goddess and they go anyway. So they eventually tell people that they found a skeleton, and they then go, and so it turns out
They don't tell people.
They don't tell people. So when they're playing the Goddess Games, one time they go to visit the goddess and there's a man there. And the man sees them and is able to get a hold of one of the girls and stabs her. And so then because of all of this, people are like, oh my God, there's a crazy man out there who's stabbing women, young girls, because the girls didn't tell anyone about the body in the cave. As it stands right now, they have a secret. There's a body, there's skeletal remains in the woods. Assumption is there's a serial killer who was going to murder the girl that he stabbed, but he wasn't able to because the other girls, ran and got help, all that good stuff. He got scared away. So the assumption is that there's to these girls, to no one else, to everyone else, it was just, yes, there was a man in the woods. He stabbed her. He may have wanted to kill her, but who knows? And they don't know who stabbed her. But all the girls know that there was a body. They're assuming he came to visit it. And then they could have been the next victim. And so there's a funeral for, I believe, someone's mother or something. And so that basically brings one of the girls who was out of town back into town. And all the girls who played the Goddess Games and were friends come back together. And one of them is determined, the one who got stabbed, to find out like who stabbed me. We have to tell people that there was a body, trying to potentially bring it to the surface. And so then, kind of goes through all of this of she's trying to figure out what really happened without fully releasing that there was a body to anyone. Like she doesn't tell anyone that, but she knows throughout. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. Do you want to just throw your honorable mentions without like telling anything about them?
My honorable mentions are The Girls in the Garden. It's also Elisa Jewell. The Housemaid.
Frida McFadden.
And then the last one is The Last Miss Parrish.
Hey, beautiful, wonderful, well done.
And those are our thriller recommendations.
Would you like to do the outro again?
Smash the like button, comment and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And we'll see you guys next time.
Out
Out of here! Gates out. I don't know.